You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
On today's Weight Loss Wednesday show, what I want to talk about is specific nutrients today. They're going to help boost thyroid function. Now, the nice thing is this. If you're dealing with hypothyroid, low thyroid, Hashimoto's, one of these specific issues, today's show is going to absolutely help you. But even if you're not dealing with the low thyroid, by including these foods, these vitamins, these nutritional elements to your diet every day, you're going to help keep your thyroid functioning optimally, but also you're going to keep your metabolism boosted all day long. So again, it's not just for those suffering from low thyroid, but certainly will help those specific people. So a lot of people are suffering from really an undiagnosed lower level, functional level of low thyroid, so a hypothyroid. And sometimes it doesn't become apparent right away. But what I want to do is I want to share with you at least some of the symptoms you might be feeling if you start to move towards low thyroid. For example, a lot of people slowly start to gain weight. A lot of that weight might start to come around the belly or under the armpits a little bit if they start to suffer from low thyroid, lowered metabolism. They start to produce less energy. Their body goes more into that survival-based state where the metabolism starts to just slow down. So their inner metabolic metabolism slows. Their actual brain function can actually start to get a little bit brain fog, a little bit just kind of slow processing in general. Also, you'll see that the overall, kind of the softness of the body tends to increase. It's kind of an overall, almost like a water retention. Okay, it looks like inflammation. Oftentimes on their blood labs, you'll start to see the cholesterol begin to get elevated. That's interesting as well from an inflammation-based perspective and also from a boosting of cholesterol. And if you heard yesterday's show, I gave specific examples about cholesterol as well, about why that might be boosted. And one of those is to start to produce more hormone, such as cortisol. And remember, oftentimes this low thyroid-based issue or this lowered metabolism has more to do with like a functional dysfunction in cortisol, meaning like high stress that then affects the thyroid negatively. Because again, I've spoken about this before, but when your body starts to produce extra levels, boosted levels of norepinephrine, which is adrenaline, so a stress hormone, and it produces boosted levels of glucocorticoids, okay, which is also called cortisol, that then starts to block TSH and T4 and T3 production. What it can also do is take that nice usable T3, which is about like 80% of the usable thyroid in your body, and it shifts it over to reverse T3. So now all of a sudden, we have unusable or unsustainable levels of T3. And it happens because of stress on the HPA axis, which is for the adrenals. So again, no thyroid protocol is ever complete without also addressing the adrenals and stress. But besides these symptoms that I just spoke about, there's also a few others. Increased muscle soreness or weakened recovery from exercise. The poor concentration I spoke about a little bit, but kind of like that brain fog, that memory, that recall can also be a part of it as well. Now, all of these are also a consequence of high cortisol. So just keep in mind, high cortisol can also be causing this low thyroid, or this can be high cortisol as well, which is why, of course, we love our weight loss testing test. And I'll link that up in today's show notes. So for today's show notes, just go to stephencabral.com/474, and you'll see all the different, we'll link up everything today in this. So just always go back to that page. Okay. Other issues a lot of people feel when they have lowered metabolism, lowered thyroid, is the dry skin, the dry, flaky skin. No matter what month of the year it is, you get that dry skin, not just during the wintertime, but even sometimes during the spring and summer when that shouldn't be happening as well. Okay, the fatigue we spoke about a little bit, but sometimes the mood gets a little bit lower, maybe a little bit more irritable as well. We oftentimes see changes in the hair, skin, and nails. I always say the hair, skin, and nails are a dead giveaway to what's going on internally with the bones and muscles. If you can't build up strong hair, skin, nails, that means there's something wrong with the protein metabolism in the body, meaning that you're not able to use the amino acids and everything else that's needed to build that strength in the body. A lot of times that comes from a lack of B vitamins, which we're going to be talking about in just a moment. Okay, other things that are a little bit more noticeable, meaning like if you can start to see some goiter based, so what I'm going to do explain right now, right around the Adam's apple. Now I know not everyone can see their Adam's apple in their neck or where that is, but basically about halfway down to 2/3 down on the neck, somewhere you might start to see an increased growth. And that's what we just call a goiter, an enlarged thyroid gland. But that's a little bit more outward. I'm talking about more symptom based right now. So those are the main specific issues that we're talking about in terms of symptoms. Now, most people think of the dry skin or the weight gain or the other things, but again, I gave some more subtle ones today. So what does this mean though? Well, it can mean that the body is missing very specific nutrients, that without those nutrients, it can't actually function properly in terms of making a specific thyroid hormone. Now, really, really important. I just want to right off the bat, sometimes the only thing the body is missing in terms of adequately being able to create thyroid hormone, which means activated T4 and activated T3, are two specific nutrients and only two specific nutrients. And that's why, if you don't have these in your diet, that's why I really dislike the notion that nutritional supplements are completely unnecessary. Because since when do we have a diet, or do we even have soil that's going to provide us with the amount of minerals and vitamins and everything that we need? How do we know we're getting everything in on a daily basis? Just because you eat food doesn't mean you actually absorb all the nutrients. It doesn't mean the foods that you're eating are high in these thyroid boosting specific nutrients. For example, how many people eat seaweed on a daily basis? Very few, right? But we all think that we're getting enough iodine. How are we supposed to get enough iodine if we're not eating high iodine foods? So this is when just using a very simple daily all-in-one, like our daily nutritional support, or anyone else that you want that has a good quality product, right? That isn't synthetic, and that you're using a daily activated multivitamin, or using something like our daily thyroid support that I don't even think I've ever even mentioned before, because I'm not here in the promotion of nutritional supplements, but I am here in the promotion of natural health. And so just keep in mind, those two things that I'm talking about are iodine. You need iodine to make thyroid molecules, to make thyroid hormone. It's essential. Start with potassium iodide. Start with seaweed. Start with Nourish. Start with something like that where you can get that in. And if you don't like those foods, well, then you just use the nutritional supplement. I don't like iodized salt. That's table salt. That has aluminum in it. Those are not things that you want. Yes, use Himalayan sea salt. Use rock salt. Use Celtic salt. Totally fine. You'll get some trace minerals from that as well. But now, what's the other one? Selenium. I cannot tell you the amount of people that I've even tested for hair tissue mineral analysis that have adequate selenium when they come in. Almost no one. I'm talking 1% or less, because selenium is also used for detoxification. And your body is going to take that selenium and it's going to use it selectively for detoxification, probably before then it makes thyroid hormone, because thyroid, not necessary for survival. Your liver, detoxification, necessary for survival. Selenium is one of those products, one of those minerals that takes your thyroid to the next level because it helps with conversion of T4 to T3. I mean, it's what's needed. It's also, selenium is such a great product in general. So what you want to do is you want to find a thyroid supplement, or a good all-in-one, a good multivitamin. Well, here's the thing. We'll link all of ours up in the show notes today, StephenCabral.com/474. And if you want to use our brand, perfect. If you don't, then what you'll do is you'll look for what we have in our product and you'll try to replicate that in another product as well. Okay, so what else could you use for the thyroid? What else will help for the thyroid? Okay, I want to name a few things. L-tyrosine. Tyrosine has been shown to help boost metabolism and boost thyroid as well. It helps with dopamine. It helps with concentration. It helps with focus. really excellent product. Okay, another thing that helps with the thyroid as well, a little bit from more of an inflammation perspective, is turmeric. Because we're looking at the body from a perspective of why would the thyroid start to go a little lower in the first place, okay? So we're looking at all the things that the body has to deal with specifically. Another one that I really like are the nutrients that allow for the proper production of thyroid hormone in general. I already mentioned the iodine, right? I already mentioned that for the thyroid hormones. I mentioned iodine. I mentioned selenium. I mentioned tyrosine. What I didn't mention was, again, another one of my favorite minerals for any time you need to boost anabolism, which means like metabolism, tissue repair, and that's zinc. Okay, there are many great forms of zinc. If you just need to choose one, you can choose again, like I'll give you a few different examples. Any chelated form, and that's chelate, C-H-E-L-A-T-E, chelated form of it. So a biglycinate, a picolinate, a glycinate, any one of those, you're going to get a lot of benefit from. And so we typically recommend in our practice, we start people around 15 milligrams because they're going to get another 15 in their shake in the morning. But you can go all the way for a lot of people up to 50 milligrams. We usually don't go that high because there's a lot of crossover between products and we don't want to get that much zinc in someone's system. Although for most people, there's no harm, but it does boost the immune system as well. Another great one, your activated B complex. Okay, so again, in the all-in-one, in your multi, there's going to be some good B vitamins if you get a good quality one. But vitamin B2, vitamin B3, vitamin B6. B6 is like that forgotten vitamin that we always talk about. B12. In my opinion, way overrated. I mean, B12 is necessary, but way overrated because everyone looks to B12 to fix all of their energy-based issues. Very few people, when they take B12, does it fix their energy issues because vitamin B12 is not a root issue. It's not a root cause. Yes, if you have low B12 and you take B12, you get a little boost, no doubt about it. But it's not the reason why you're low energy. There's other reasons. There's bigger reasons below that. But B6 is one of those B vitamins that almost acts more like an enzyme converter that helps for the uptake and utilization of things like magnesium, vitamin C, your neurotransmitters such as 5-HTP or serotonin. I'm telling you, B6, you'll hear more about in the future. It is the overlooked vitamin. Paradoxal 5-phosphate, that's the activated form of it. My mentor, who I didn't even mention in yesterday's show, which I apologize for mentioning her name. I had so many great mentors, but she was my last. She was kind of like my final mentor, my Yoda. If you've watched Star Wars before, she was that person who just pushed me to become a naturopath in my own right, to study functional medicine at the Institute of Functional Medicine for functional medicine. She was that person, and her name is Dr. Margaret Smith-Peet. I will always be indebted to her. If you know her, please let her know that I'm grateful for all of her help over the years. And she introduced me to vitamin B6. She was the first person to teach me about my genetic-based issues with inflammation and MTHFR and COMT and detoxification and ACTH and the giant mess that I was inside of my body because when they were handed out cards for good genetics, I didn't necessarily get that, that hand dealt to me. But that's okay because, again, it's epigenetics. I feel fantastic because I fixed all the issues that can allow for the expression of bad genetics, which is the inside of me, right? I'm prone to all these autoimmune-based disorders. I'm prone to all of the HPA axis, adrenal-based issues. But anyway, all of that's been corrected. So I'm very happy, and I'm going to keep that going in that direction. Okay, instead of this turning into too long of a podcast, let me just tell you, vitamin C, vitamin D, essential for the thyroid as well. But here's the nice thing. If you have thyroid-based issues, I mentioned a lot of things right now, but all of those things are literally covered in the daily activated multivitamin or a good all-in-one shake, like our daily nutritional support shake. And again, we'll put the links up. You decide if it's the right product for you. If it's not, that's not what today's show is about, because you might be working with a functional medicine doctor. You might be working with a naturopath. You might be doing this on your own and looking at your own research. So we're going to show you what to look for, and then you can choose on your own. Okay. So you do that. You do you might add a B vitamin to that. Activated B complex, really great product, which has the B6, it has the B12, the B2, the B3, the B1, the thiamine, all that. But also, you might just then on top of that, add in the daily thyroid support. And that has what you're missing, the extra selenium, the extra potassium iodide, and the extra tyrosine, that extra stuff. Okay? but also it contains copper. It contains a little vitamin E. It contains a little vitamin C. It contains the vitamin A. All the cofactors that you need to boost your metabolism and boost your thyroid. But then also, remember I said, no thyroid protocol is complete without helping to calm that sympathetic nervous system response, calm that HPA axis, calm that cortisol and glucocorticoids. So in this specific product, it's ashwagandha. Ashwagandha proven beyond a shadow of a doubt to help control high cortisol. When you get too high in cortisol, it helps bring you back down. It's just a calming product. It works amazingly well. Then there's a few other things in this product that are amazing that I'm just not going to talk about and chat about today. Okay, one other thing, and I just don't, because I can't not talk about thyroid and talk about some other issues that you may have. You may have food sensitivities to dairy, gluten, eggs. Those are very, very common with low thyroid-based issues. Run a food sensitivity test, eat some dairy, some gluten, some eggs, only if it's not an anaphylactic-based problem, and then do a food sensitivity test the next day, okay? It's an IgG test. It's a simple finger poke test. I'm going to link that up in the show notes today as well. Also, if you can, run a hair tissue mineral analysis. If you run a hair tissue mineral analysis, or you can run the whole thyroid test if you want. We'll link everything up today. You decide what's best for you. But you'll get to see if you have high levels of mercury or high levels of aluminum, high levels of cadmium. Those are very common in thyroid-based disorders as well. So I just want you to have the whole perspective. First of all, a lot of people are just run down and missing the nutrients that they need. They're literally not eating enough calories, but even more so, they're not getting enough micronutrients. Everyone's always worried about their macros, their carbs, their protein, their fat. It's a big thing. It's the media thing today. I understand. I get it. But the main thing that people are missing is this. They're missing the micronutrients. So their body doesn't have the raw material to actually create thyroid, to create hormone in general, to create testosterone, to create DHEA, to create all of these things. So if you don't have the zinc, you don't have the selenium, you don't have the biotin, you don't have the B6, you don't have the vitamin C, how are you supposed to run all of the functions of your body? Where does it come from? That's the thing that's missing a lot right now, is that we're missing the nutrition in our diets. And that's why I talk about, if most people just do a greens powder in the morning, like the 1 tablespoon of the daily fruit and vegetable blend, the all-in-one, you're getting every vitamin, every mineral you need from both functional medicine and just like natural whole food, all in the morning. Like, that's why I do it, just to keep things simple. Well, hopefully what came through today is that your thyroid needs very specific nutrients to function optimally. And if it doesn't get those, if it doesn't get the selenium, the tyrosine, the zinc, the vitamin C, the iodine, if it doesn't get those things, you literally cannot make enough like thyroid. And it's that simple. Like, it's honestly sometimes just that simple. It's what we're missing. So I wanted to try to make that, really, really clear. Of course, you can get lots of these nutrients through food. Again, sea vegetables, the chlorella, the wakame, the spirulina, the kelp, the nori, the dulse, any of those things are great sources of iodine. You can get selenium. One of my favorite ways to get selenium is Brazil nuts. So you just say, okay, I'm not big on nutritional supplements. Well, how else can I get my selenium? 2 to 3 Brazil nuts, literally, that's it. You get all the selenium that you need. So that might be a nice thing to add, into your diet specifically. Where can you get zinc? Well, you can get zinc from like the yolks from pasture-based chicken. You can get it from organ meat. You can get it from other animal-based protein. And if you don't eat animal-based protein, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, spinach, great source of zinc. To get all those vitamin D, the E, all those things that I talked about, you can get them from fish, like wild-caught salmon, trout, the bright orange fish. Again, egg yolks, those really help as well. And so, you can get a lot of these things from food. There's no doubt about it. All I like to do is say, eat as healthy as possible. If you can, a little bit of nutritional supplements as backup support. We're not talking about super high dosages. We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about a little backup support so that you cover all your bases. So let me know. Let me know if this was a good show, if this was helpful. You would like this, maybe the same type of show pertaining to a different type of metabolic issue or, dis-ease in air quotes right there. Let me know. You can always just go to stephencabral.com/ask Cabral and ask any questions that you may have. Thank you everyone for tuning into another Cabral Concept. I appreciate each and every one of your listens, and do feel free to pass this show along to anyone it may help. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.